Kudos to VCU. I mean, obviously, I think they schemed things really well today, and obviously made things difficult for us offensively. We couldn't put the ball in the basket for the first 25 minutes. I think one of those media timeouts. Forgive me if I'm not on. It was 14%, 16% or something like that. We were shooting for the first 25 minutes of the game, something like that. You're not going to win a lot of games doing that. And so I think we really, really dug ourselves a really tough hole. Obviously not an insurmountable hole because we were able to come back. But, you hate to say perfect, but you dig yourself a 15-point hole in a low-scoring game like that. It makes things really, really difficult. That being said, for the last 15 minutes of the game, I thought we were really, really good offensively and still got some key stops. Unfortunately, Sarah was really, really good for them and stepped up, made some tough shots, made some big shots for them, and was really, really good with the ball in her hands early and late. So that was tough. But again, I think just a lot of it goes back to that first 7-0 lead kind of to start the game was maybe had us rattled. We missed a couple of our early shots, and unfortunately for us, we just have not done well when we miss those first ones, and things maybe get contagious a bit.
What did you say in the locker room during halftime to get the team back into the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably about as calm a halftime as we've maybe had. I think it was one of those that I don't think I said the words, we can't play any worse and can't shoot any worse, but I think that was probably what was going through my head, and hopefully for them too. We just kind of said, hey, guys, we don't have to play perfect. We had a deficit there, 9-point deficit, I think, at the half. We didn't have to play perfect. This was not a game that, we left a lot of points on the board. We were holding them to, I think they were shooting 26% in the first half. I think we were worse. We were 18, 19% in the first half. We knew we could play better offensively. We didn't show that for the first 5, but I thought we were really, really good for the last 15, and we just needed to calm down. We needed to see the ball go through the rim a little bit. We made a couple free throws and maybe got us off the schneid, but we still missed some key ones after that, and unfortunately for us, it just was not our day with the ball going through the net. I wouldn't say surprising. I think we're built upon being a really balanced team, and I think you've seen that throughout the season. Even some games where our usual suspects have stood up, or have stepped up. There's been other people that have played really well with them. So last game I think we had 5 in double figures, and I think we were close to that today, if you want to call it that. I know had 3 starters, 8, 9, and 9. Sydney, I thought, was outstanding. I thought Maggie had some good minutes for us. It wasn't a huge stat line, but I thought she gave us some good minutes. So I think it's a build, and obviously when you kind of run an offense like this and a little more conceptual base, you're kind of, the ball's in their hands, you're trusting a lot of decisions, and when the ball doesn't go through the rim, you start to second guess those decisions and maybe play a little bit tighter. So I think going back to halftime, we tried to get them to loosen up a little bit, and especially at that 5-minute media timeout in the third quarter, really emphasized we're going to get shots. We're going to get some of the same shots that we've had. We all want some of those shots back. We're going to be ready, and we're going to make them. Yeah, I mean, it was about as frustrating a first half as you could have. I think you go into it as a coach and you want to make all sorts of adjustments and you want to go in and fix things. And, you take a look and you think back, and some of those possessions I thought were pretty good. Some of those early possessions, we got what we wanted. Even after that early timeout, I thought for the first 2.5 minutes, we were on our heels a little bit, but I thought the rest of that quarter, it didn't show up on the scoreboard, but I thought we were getting a lot of quality shots. I thought things were really going our way the last 7 minutes of the first quarter. You still were down 5, 6, I think, at that point. So I don't think we were in panic mode. But then that second quarter was a little bit, like I said, I hate to say contagious, but we really still were struggling to put the ball in the rim, even though I thought we had some good looks. And then things probably just got a little bit tight. So like I said, the halftime was a lot more just calmness and trying to calm down and trying to figure some things out. I thought we played really, really well defensively. We forced a lot of misses. We rebounded okay. Maybe had some key turnovers, but for the most part, I thought our turnover number was pretty low today.
And back to the media timeout, 5-minute mark in the third quarter, the team goes on a 16-3 run. What was that?
It was just a little bit of, I thought we had to change our movement a little bit. But other than that, it was, we're going to get some quality shots. I thought sometimes when you're not moving, your coach tells you to move, you overmove, and I think there was a lot of probably times that we were cutting too much and kind of getting away from our spacing. We just kind of talked about moving within our spacing, moving within our spots. And again, just relax, guys. The first one will fall, and then things will be fine after that. And I thought Sydney was great during that stretch, both scoring for herself, but kind of getting into that area for us. And I know hit Maggie on a back door that was huge late. We kept the thing alive there at the end, and I thought got a good couple looks late. And it was just for as much of it was a defensive game and not a whole lot of offense. I thought the last maybe 4 or 5 minutes was at least entertaining from an offensive standpoint when it maybe wasn't so for the first 35.
And the next game is away at Rhode Island.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got to, get over this one. Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know what it is, but this was our only game over basically a 2-week span. So, that maybe put a lot of emphasis on this one from a coaching standpoint. You don't want to look too far ahead, but I think we know that we've got a pretty tough stretch with some big dogs in the league coming up over the next 3 weeks, and it's unfortunate that we've dropped 2 home games now. But I also know this is a league that's going to have a lot of really, really close games. So we have opportunities right now. You want these 2 home games back, no question. But I think when you can go on the road right now and kind of have your chance to get after some of the big dogs in the league and show that we belong, I think that's a challenge that our kids are going to be ready for. Sure.
So you made the decision to play Sydney Boone a lot more in the second half of the game. What led to that thought process? And obviously it paid off in the end. So
Yeah.
did you see that sign? Did you see her?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought she helped a little bit with the pace of the game. Obviously, probably a little bit Grace trying to get her legs back. She's been out a little bit, practiced here for the last few days. I think she's practiced really, really well. It just maybe wasn't her day. Maybe there's a little bit of adjustment period for her. This was a tough game to come into with a tough matchup. Shot wasn't falling a couple times, so I think you start to second guess yourself. But I think a lot of it, to be honest with you, wasn't necessarily Grace. It was just things were working. We like I said earlier, we run a conceptual offense here. There's not a lot of us dictating what you have to do and following a script. So sometimes it's finding groups that work together, finding a group or finding a kid that kind of maybe is on that day. Probably didn't anticipate playing her, those last 15 minutes. There was a couple times thought maybe needed to get Grace back in there. And every time I thought that, Sydney came up and made some big plays for us. So I think she made it really, really hard to take her off the floor. I don't think that was necessarily anything anti-Grace. I just think things were going, you look at her today, and sometimes this can be deceiving, but in a 3-point game that you're losing, she's a plus 22 in only, 22, 23, 24 minutes. To come off the bench and be a plus 22, that says a lot about how well you played that game. Not just her scoring, but I thought she really managed the game very well for the others. Thank you.
I was just going to say, if nothing else, you didn't get the results you wanted, but even when you're playing poorly, if your team puts the shoulder to the wheel, you can still have a chance at the end. That has to be a positive.
And I think we've talked, a lot, even going back to the beginning of the season, of hopefully this can be a team that doesn't have to shoot well to win, and it makes things easier. It allows you to maybe have some lopsided wins, but I think this team has shown that we can shoot poorly, call it play poorly, and still find a way to win. And I thought, we kind of hung our hat on our defense. Rebounding was solid for the most part today, but I just think our defense was really, really good today, and that kept it close. It allowed us to go from a minus 15 to a plus 17. We have a 2-point lead, I think, was our largest lead, and had a lead late in the game. And I think had our chances to tie the game, had our chances to take the lead in the last 20 seconds, 25 seconds, and it just wasn't our game. But obviously, there's gonna be a lot of close games in this league, and hopefully that turns around.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.